MJ, you're first. Congratulations. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome to my dungeon. Um, I am intending to stream on Thanksgiving Day this week, but as I've been plotting things out, I determined that there are some things that I really should do in advance. So we're going to do some of those today. So some of this is just going to be prepping stuff, and then at the end I do plan on making myself a little bit of dinner, but it's going to be something quick instead of a more elaborate thing, because we're going to be focusing on getting a few things prepped. Not a ton of stuff. We're not pre-roasting the bird. We're prepping a few things. One of them is going to be this lovely critter. Because it turns out when your centerpiece bird is only this big, you're not going to get a lot of drippings out of it, and you're not going to be able to carve up the carcass to make a stock in advance. So I had to get a. We're going to make stock. We're going to make stock today. We're going to make cornbread today because I'm going to try out a cornbread dressing. And we're going to think about what else we can do. That's the plan. That's the plan. There's going to be some thinking today. Let me pull up some reference recipes actually real quick. Cornbread. And turkey stock. Yeah. We should probably do the cornbread first because I think I want to eat some of that with the dinner. I'm going to use part of the cornbread for dinner tonight. So we're going to want it to be cooked in advance of that. Self, no, not. Oh my god, the internet is telling me to use a cornbread mix instead of just cornbread, just cornmeal. Ugh. No, that see. Okay. Um, Preheat the oven. Make sure there's nothing in there. Preheat the oven. Slide us over yonder and grab some stuff. We're going to need cornmeal. We're going to need flour because cornbread is not just corn. We're going to need baking powder. We're going to use this cast iron skillet. I believe. Flour, cornmeal. I'm hesitant on the sugar. Milk, egg, oil, egg, vegetable oil? Can I use butter instead? Can I use lard instead? I don't have vegetable oil. Oh, I do. I have corn oil. I actually have corn oil. We could just use corn oil. That's a vegetable oil. Okay. Yeah. We're going to set our turkey chunk aside for the time being. We need a bowl. I wonder if we could get it done in this thing and then use the pour spout to just neatly pour it in. I'm not going to fuss with that. We're going to use a regular bowl. Hello, Rayuya. Congratulations, you are not first. How's it going? Let's see. Dries into, or wets into the dries is our process. So this shirt. The second button always wants to pop open. And then when it does, the sleeve loses tension and falls down past my elbow. It's easier to scoop with the half cup, so I'm scooping with the half cup. But we're using 1 cup to 1 cup balance here. Cornmeal to regular flour. This one wants 2/3 of a cup sugar. That seems like way too much sugar to me, personally. 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder, which means we're stuck with using the 1/2 teaspoon. So 7 of these. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. A little bit hardened at the bottom here. 6, 7. A teaspoon of salt, which I'm going to powder up. I'm going to grind up my salt a little bit extra. Just because I don't want it being chunky in the end, even though we're adding a bunch of liquid to it. Jay, what are you doing? Jay, what are you doing? What have I done to deserve this? 20 months. Jay, that's almost a year. Hi, Jay. Hello. Welcome. Queerly. Studley. Hello. Welcome. we're just started. We've just started. We're making cornbread. I've decided to go for a cornbread dressing this year. So we're making a cornbread. And it calls for the recipe, which is from All Recipes, the classic. It calls for a ton of sugar, which I'm hesitant to use. Miss Sepsi, hello. Ah, gosh, everybody's here. Now that Miss Sepsi's here, everybody's here. And I expect no one else to turn up. I know, because cornbread's sweet cornbread, but can I leave the sugar out? Unsweetened cornbread. Let's find out what this one thinks. Because we're also not doing a buttermilk. This one only wants 3 teaspoons of sugar, so a little bit of sugar is fine. Bookwoman. Everybody's pink today. Bookwoman, hello. Well, I don't want sweet cornbread because I'm intending to make a dressing out of the leftover cornbread for Thanksgiving. And I think too sweet of a dressing isn't what I want. Where's my honey? Where's my honey? Ooh, my honey's getting a little bit chunky. My honey's getting a little bit crunchy. We might not be able to do a honey substitute. I was thinking a honey substitute because I like the flavor of honey. James Beard. Oh, that's an idea. I never pull out the books, but you know, I've got a pretty extensive book collection. I'm always going for the online stuff. I should be pulling out the books more often. They're just right around the corner there. This is, in fact, a bread book. Jim Leahy's bread book. I know a tiny bit of sugar won't hurt, but the All Recipes recipe calls for 2/3 of a cup of sugar, which seems like a lot of sugar. Cornbread, there you go. Oh, wrong kind of corn. That's a sweet cornbread. So I went for his fresh cornbread, and when he says fresh corn, he means like fresh sweet corn. I don't know if he's got this kind of cornbread in here. Well, if Jim Leahy doesn't have it, then I guess we're going to have to go with How to Cook Everything. I'm certain that it's in here because it's everything. You just had to flip to page 829. Bread. Oh, these are kneaded breads. Do you not do cornbread? Hold on. Hold on. Index. Give me cornbread. Corn. cornbread. I was right next to it. Cornbread. This one wants buttermilk. We're not doing a buttermilk mix. 1 tablespoon of sugar, or more if you like sweet cornbread. I think that the 2/3 of a cup of sugar is an insane amount of sugar. We're going to go for just a bit of sugar. Bob! Hi. We used one of my cookbooks just now. I've got them. We never pull them out. I never use them. I just off the cuff it. But I've got them. They're there. Hello. How's it going? Anyways, we're not going for 2/3 of a cup of sugar. That's an insane amount of sugar. We're going for... I'm going to go with Mark Pittman's recommendation of 1 tablespoon. In part because I think that might be what I've got in the bowl here. How's it going, Bob? How's it going, everyone? Nobody comes and tells me how they're doing. They would just come in and say hi. How's it going, everybody? What's for dinner? Happy this week. We need to stir together all of our dry ingredients to ensure no lumps and to ensure even distribution, especially of the things that there's less of. Wow, there's a lot of lumps. We're having leftovers for dinner. I'm gonna use my hand and actually knock out those lumps. Oven's hot. Queerly Studley is making rice and remembered to rinse this time. Good job. I usually don't remember to rinse my rice. So I remember to do things better for the show than when I'm just cooking for myself. Now, there's a lot of little lumps of flour in here. That flour must have been... Well, I'm getting down to the bottom, so that stuff was compacted by the weight of all the flour on top of it. So that would be why there's more lumps as I'm getting down to the bottom of the tower. I just noticed that Bob said, holy carp. We're not cooking carp today. Okay, dry ingredients. Good enough. Good enough. Ravioli and salad for dinner. I also did a bunch of shopping today. Grocery stores were already crowded. On a Monday in the middle of the day, it was quite crowded for Monday just in the middle of the day. A cup of milk, an egg, and 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. Those are our wets. And I did actually get real milk for this. Oh, mine were really crowded. They're going to be even worse. I have, in fact, been shopping the day before Thanksgiving before. Um, and let me tell you what, it's a it's a madhouse. I will always remember back to that time I was shopping with my former roommate. We were selecting something for Thanksgiving, and a man in a nice suit was looking at the turkeys, the frozen turkeys, 2 days before Thanksgiving, saying, "There's no way these will be thawed in time for Thanksgiving." As if that was the first he had considered the possibility. He was correct. There was no way they were going to be thawed in time for Thanksgiving. Uh, an egg. These are... That one's probably the least oversized of my eggs. And the most speckly. Look at them speckles. Ooh. And apparently the most membranous of all of the shells. That bowl might be slightly small for what I'm looking for. Nanifer banana. Hello. Okay, that's a 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball about that much more for a third of a third of a cup. A third of a cup is a bit between a 1/4 and a half, and I'm just going to do it that one. They were nice looking eggs. They were some of the last eggs I got out of the farmer's market before it closed, which is why there's only a few left in the carton. Why are eggs in America brown? The chickens, it's not just diet. It depends on the kind of chicken as well. The ancestral chickens always had brown eggs. That's the color of that's the color eggs always used to be. We bred chickens that specifically produce white eggs. I don't know exactly when, but that was a thing. And then those became very popular, took over, and now they are the most common you see in lots of places. I can get white chicken eggs here, but the more expensive ones, the quote-unquote fancier ones, tend to be brown. And the ones I get at the farmer's market are always brown. The white ones around here are the really cheap ones that come from the big factory farms. But it's not entirely diet. They're the type of chicken that is the popular one for those big farms produces white eggs. Okay. A farmer's market is a little local market, temporary market that's usually hosted by the local town, in which the farmers who live around the area come to sell their produce directly to the people as opposed to selling them via a store. Because in America, most things are sold via a store rather than directly from the whoever makes the thing to the people who want the thing. We're going to slide over here to our cast iron pan. I'm going to butter it up. I live in a pretty cold climate, so the farmer's market around here only runs during the warmer months, so they are closed down for now. And the farmer's market also only has like things that can be grown locally. I can't find bananas at the farmer's market because I live in a cold climate where bananas can't live. But you do end up getting things that are generally a bit nicer at the farmer's market, and you can be assured that they haven't traveled very far to get to you, which is a nice perk as well. Okay, we are buttered there. Over here, we're going to add our, going to get our whisk ready. We're going to add our wet into our dry. Stir it together. Should give us a thick but pourable batter. We don't want to overwork it because we don't really want to develop any gluten. But we want to make sure there's no dry bits left in there as well. So we want to at least work it well enough that we don't have any dry bits left. I've actually been to a farmer's market, which I think was just a market in Guatemala, which was set up very much like our farmers markets, but I got the impression that that was there all the time, every day, and was the standard go-to way the locals got produce from the farmers. And they, of course, had all sorts of tropical fruits. LT Wheels, I'm assuming that's Lieutenant Wheels. Hello. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? We're going to need to set a timer for this because I don't trust myself to just eyeball stuff. In this case, which means I got to find my time. Oh, there it is. There it is. Let's see. Recipe says start at 20 minutes. Oop. Pause. What's this? This is cornbread batter. I wouldn't eat it like this. We're going to bake it. How am I? I'm doing great. We're doing prep for Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday here in the America, the United of States, is on Thursday. And I decided that I need to prep a few things before then rather than do everything on the day of. So I'm doing that now. And one of those things is this cornbread. But I wouldn't eat this as it is. It's got raw flour and raw egg in it. And unlike, say, a cookie dough, it's not very sweet. But I've buttered this cast iron, and we put our batter in. So in the oven, and the oven's already hot. The joy of preheating your oven. So in the oven it goes right away. And we can move on to part 2. Part 2 is a little bit grosser at the start because I got a turkey neck. Because we're going to make some fresh turkey stock. Because the bird I'm cooking for actually Thanksgiving is this. It's still in the package because it's still a little bit frozen. This little guy was $4. Very economical for his size. He was one of the largest ones they had. I think that they're not sold by weight at the store that I got them at. So I picked through. They were all $4. I picked through and found the largest one to get my best money's worth. And they helpfully had the turkey scale right next to it, so I weighed it, and it came in at about 2 1/5 or something. Pounds. I think it'll be nice. I think it'll make for a nice little centerpiece. I can do like a Thanksgiving for one plate and actually have a full bird centerpiece in it as well. He's not quite thawed yet. I was gonna take him out of the package and like salt it and do a little dry brine. Which I'm still going to do, but I guess I'm going to have to do that a little bit later because he's still a little bit frozen. We could try getting it out of the package. See, I just don't want to, if it's still frozen, I don't want to tear it. But he's so little, and also I won't be able to use the carcass to make stock. So we won't have drippings, and we won't have the bones. So I'm going to need to make stock ahead of time, or buy pre-made stock, which I did buy some pre-made stock, but I want to do a nicer stock. And that is going to be that. If you get a whole turkey with the giblets, you quite possibly have seen one of these and know what it is. It's the neck of a turkey that has had the skin removed. And we are just going to take it in. Ooh. Nope, I didn't hit it quite hard enough. Trying to line up that same. Nope. Turkey bones are a little bit tougher than a proper cleaver would be useful here. I don't have a proper cleaver. It's one of the knife types I don't have. Okay, but I got it enough that I could break it the rest of the way with my hand. Got it. Let's see if I can't. Oh, nope. Tough little bugger. I'm also probably not going to bother with the meat on this one, so I'm just gonna treat the whole thing as a stock. If you can find the joint between the bones. Oh, no. Ugh. You know what? I'm not that fussed. We're going to put that in there as is. It'll be fine. We're going to wash my hands because they're covered in poultry at the moment. And we're going to get that cutting board out of there too. And I know I could pressure, and we have pressure cooked parts to make a stock before, but I want to do a simmer on this one. If we're going to wash my hands, what would it be like in Ghost? I'm going to go with yes. Okay, I guess I will keep an eye out for cleavers. I've never seen a cleaver at a thrift store. Never, not once. Anyways, it fits in the pot anyways. It fits in the pot fine. We're gonna go for a pretty basic little stock mix here. Wow, that's some dirty celery. I guess I'm gonna take a rib of celery and wash it and throw out this muddy bag. Wow, that's some really dirty celery. Some real dirty celery. So, un momento while I rinse the farm off my celery. And then we do what we just did, but with celery, which is way easier, where you just go, and then that goes in the pot. And then you grab a carrot and you go, and then that goes in the pot. And then you grab an onion. It's a pretty hefty onion. And you go like so, and you go like, and you go like so. And you get rid of any of the really loose papers. And you look at that part, and you're like, is that so good? Maybe I'll trim off that little. No, it's fine. That. Like so. The back one is really easy. You don't even have to really worry about the root end. Like so. Taking the papers off is not necessarily required. They can be strained out if you want to strain this at the end. I don't really want little bits of onion paper floating around in my thing when we do get down to it. So I am. But if you're going to run it through a sieve, regardless, then it is kind of unnecessary to remove the papers. And you might get some extra flavor out of them. They do have some flavor. Hey Bob, that seems like a chat meant for a different channel. You wouldn't be watching two channels at the same time, would you? Oop. Can't forget the most important ingredient, if I can find them. Some bay leaves, some really weirdly small bay leaves. And then that goes over to the stove with some wow. I did pull up a little hi Mish. Martha Stewart's turkey neck stock. 1 onion, celery, carrots. She uses twice as much celery and twice as much carrots. And a bunch of parsley. And some pepper. I'm not putting pepper in this. And I'm not putting the parsley in at this point either. I understand. She wants a shitload of water. Sorry, I cussed. I did a little cuss just then. Martha wants extra water for this so that it can simmer off as it cooks. I'll just add water if it gets low. So I'm going with 5. How's it going, Mish? Let's start it on high to get up to a boil, and then we're going to bring it down to a simmer. And then it's going to simmer until I'm satisfied that it's stock, and it's unsalted, so it's going to be a very mild flavor as well. And those were the 2 things that I planned to plan in advance. Cornbread and turkey stock. Can you think of anything else that we should plan, that we should do in advance? I said dinner if we have time, but we're gonna have time. Should put a lid on that too, because I have the fitted lid for that pot, which is one of the reasons I like to use it for things like this. That way we don't boil out so much. So the plan is a centerpiece roast whole bird with dressing. That's the cornbread dressing, gravy, Roast vegetables, I've got turnip and Brussels sprout. I'm going to do mashed potatoes. So we're going to have starch and starch and starch. Oh, I didn't. We could have prepped cranberries today. I didn't grab any cranberries. Because the cranberry sauce can be cooked way in advance. Oh, I've got applesauce, which is already made. That I made it. I made applesauce. I didn't show you guys. I did it without you guys. I'm sorry, but I made applesauce. Yeah, I just said Bookwoman. I didn't get cranberries. I didn't. Apples. Plum. What is this? What are you? Oh, that's plum syrup. Desserts. What do you want for dessert? I'm not massive on pie, and that's the classic. Not massive on the sweet pies, and that's the classic Thanksgiving dessert, is a sweet pie. Bob, did you unsub? Oh, thank you for the follow. I just saw it 15 minutes ago. Thank you for the streak, Bob. 5 streams. It's almost a year. You don't know why you're low on the streaks? I think you're low on the streaks because my channel only just got streaks like very super recently. Our timer is also coming up, so I don't want to really start anything. I don't want to start anything massive until the cornbread beeps, because I want to check on it. Thank you, Mish, for giving Bob a gift sub. Bob, you are tied into this place. You are bolted onto the side of this place now for at least another month. Reuse also on a 5 stream. No, we only just got streaks enabled, so you guys are all low numbers because I'm low numbers. I'm here every time, and I think I'm only up to a 5. So you guys didn't miss any. Don't worry about that. Muffins, you said. Cookies, cakes, and muffins. Cookies, cakes, and muffins. Ooh, what could we do? What could we do? I've got chocolate. I've got cocoa powder. I've got flour. I've got potentially the makings of a chocolate cookie. Potentially the makings of a chocolate cookie. I don't have a bot enabled, so you can't ask the bot for exclamation mark commands. I can click on you and see that you have been following since December the 10th, 2022. What kind of cookie? A chocolate cookie. A mousse a couple days in advance, though? Our stock pot has come to a full boil, so I will be reducing the heat to a simmer. This is why I like having glass lids for pots. So I can look inside and see what's going on without opening it up, which would release a bunch of the heat. Mini pumpkin pies. I don't have a muffin tin. I have some cake pans. I could make cake. The oven will be open soon. Put a wrapper over the top so it doesn't get skin, and it should be fine in the fridge. Let's see, I don't need the cornbread one up anymore. Ooh, what about brownies? Bookman wants panna cotta. We haven't actually done a panna cotta in a while. That is not a bad shout. Oh, that's interesting. We got a lot of ideas. Oop, there's my cornbread. Let's do two things here. We're going to slide our stock pot to the back corner. There, because then I can use this space for other things. Turn that one off, and then we're going to get the... You never heard a cornbread beep? It's pretty normal. It looks pretty pale. I'm going to leave it in for another 5. It smells good. It looks a little pale for my taste, so... I like the idea panna cotta with a fruit compote. That fruit compote. How about something to go with plum syrup? Because I have a lot of plum syrup. Rather, I have a lot of plum jam that didn't set and is thus for very syrupy. It's quite tasty. It's also very sweet. Ended up putting a lot of sugar in that plum stuff. You guys weren't here for that because nobody was here for that. I did it on my own time, and it was a massive failure. That's the secret, kids. Do the massive failures when nobody's looking. Pumpkin Millionaire's shortbread. Well, I do have a pumpkin. It's a weird pumpkin. I also have the other kind of pumpkin, a carving pumpkin. Don't know if you can eat those. I mean, you can eat those, but they're tough to eat. I don't know. The panna cotta idea might be the winner here. Can we do a chocolate panna cotta? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? And by panna cotta, I of course mean an agar set milk jelly. I'm having ideas. Guys, I'm having ideas. You might have to stop me. No. Ooh, I'm having ideas. That one's not hot enough yet. Come back to a boil, please. Spencer. Hello. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? Okay, I great suggestions. I'm doing. I have the jam jelly made. Well, let me show you the jam and why I keep calling it syrup. So I got some plums, and they. I can't really see that one. The one I've been using. That's the approximate thickness of it. It's very much the consistency of a syrup, where I can just flow it around. So using it as a jam slash jelly would be nearly impossible. It is liquid. It is a thick liquid, but even refrigerated, it is a liquid. It really just never set properly. It's tasty. I got the flavor good. I did not get the set good. But what if I take a ramekin? What if I take a ramekin, line the bottom with the plum stuff, and freeze it so it's a solid layer, and then put on top of that a agar set. If I can get my jar of agar out. An agar set dairy dessert. That was our 5 minutes. Oops. We're going to go look at our cornbread again. I think I have gelatin somewhere, but I have agar. I put a jelly making pectin and followed the directions into making the plum jam, and it failed. And I have just realized why my stuff wasn't bubbling. I turned on this burner, not the one that I actually put the pot on. That'll be why it stopped bubbling. Okay, cornbread. It's getting a little bit of a brown on top and a little bit of brown around the outside. Let's give it a test. See what we're working with. With a skewer, because I don't have any toothpicks right now. Pulled it up. Looks good. I absolutely turned on the spoon rest burner. This one, I turned on this one. There was no spoon resting on it, but I absolutely turned on this one. That is the one we always rest our spoons on. So it's blazing hot right now. Cornbread. The cornbread is cornbread. We're gonna let that rest. Up. Am I having guests for Thanksgiving? No, I'm intending to stream on Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna do Thanksgiving for one. You will all be my guests if you choose to turn up. If not, if you've got other things going on, more power to you. My blessings upon your holiday, but I'll be here. That's the plan, at least. I'm going to cook, and then I'm also going to eat with you guys, and I'm gonna hopefully get some like music set up or something, just to hang out. You know, just not everybody has somebody to spend time with on Thanksgiving. I have to work the next day. Working retail means I have to be there for Black Friday. Okay, I'm executing one of these ideas. Ah. Well, Bookwoman, did you see the size of the bird? Did you see the size of the bird? Here's our bird. Bird for one. After some discussion on Discord, if you're not in Discord, we should invite you to the Discord. After a little bit of discussion on Discord, we settled on the Game Hen. He's almost thawed now. I got him yesterday. He's almost thawed already. Definitely still cold, but soft. We could take the plastic off. I'm going to probably take the plastic off tomorrow so that I can get in there and give him a little bit of a dry brine before showtime. My hen is a he. I haven't checked. Still in the plastic. I'm making assumptions. I could be misgendering the bird. Fair point. Let's see. That's simmering. The oven can go off. I don't need the oven. To this, we're going to add a little bit more of the same. Oh, there we go. I did actually jar and seal these things properly too, which is such a shame that they ended up being so syrupy. Because they are heat sealed. Oop, that one almost worked. Look, it tried to gel around the top. Oh, God. Some of them just like were so close. The consistency was just so close. But that's what that is on the top there. It was trying to gel and it was boiling hot when I put it in there. And it just didn't work out. Should have done next time when I eventually make it through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jars of this stuff. So next time, next summer, got a lot of plum jam to go through. We're going with the no sugar recipe because my God, did I have to add so much sugar to this. And then because I was using a sugar set recipe, I couldn't just go and add more of the pectin. I should have just got the no sugar pectin because then you can just add more of the pectin. Good night, MJ. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being first. And thank you for the lurk. I'm going to put this in the freezer to try to get it to hard set. It's a pretty thin layer. We're going to try to get that to hard set over the course of today. I need a level place to put it. Thankfully, the freezer's a bit more spacious than it was, and I've managed to eat a few things. And then we're going to make a milk jelly. I always forget how much agar-agar you need. Half a teaspoon per cup of liquid, and the liquid is going to be milk. Or should the liquid be half and half? Liquid's not going to be full cream because I don't have any full cream. I think the liquid's going to be some half and half. Have I done an agar-agar set with you guys? I think I have, but it was ages ago. It's going to need sugar. Oh, and the half teaspoon is got stuff on it. So agar-agar is, it's a seaweed-derived thickener. It behaves similarly to, but not exactly, like gelatin, but with some important differences. For one, you have to boil it to get it to set. But it also means that it's extremely resilient to being overboiled. It just resists. Bookwoman remembers us doing agar-agar. I think I did the. I think I did a root beer float one. I think that was the project I did actually on stream once. That is all of the sugar. We're just going to use all the sugar. Sugar bowl is empty bowl. Vanilla or, what do you guys think? Vanilla or almond? Or pandan? Scratch it, we're doing pandan. No, Jay, I vetoed it. I vetoed it, we're doing pandan. Ooh, yes. I have pandan flavoring essence. It's green stuff. Whoop. Okay, it doesn't pour very well. You'd have done both. You'd have done vanilla with the pandan. It rolled back a little bit. There's no dosing directions on the pandan. What's pandan? Pandan is a grass. There it is on the label. It is used in a way similar to vanilla. It has a very distinctive, pretty unique flavor. But it's used in sweets. It's from India, from the Indian tropics, I believe. Whereas vanilla is from South America. I can also add a little bit of vanilla if I've got it. That one is maple. We could have done maple. That one's ranciette. That one is citron. Maybe I don't have a vanilla. I have this kind of vanilla. It's not naturally that green. This one, it has green dye added to it. But the things made with it are typically colored green. So green is associated with pandan flavored things. Probably because the pandan itself is bright green when it's a fresh plant. And then a cup of, I said half and half, but I think we're going to go with milk since I've added these flavors. And the more fat in the mix, the harder it's going to be to set, because the fats don't want to gel. But pandan is one of those things that it doesn't taste quite exactly like anything else. It's kind of its own special thing. It should give this a delicate green color. And we can just go ahead and taste this to see if it's sweet enough and if it has a good enough flavor. But it's like trying to describe saffron to somebody without them knowing what saffron tastes like. So it's faintly vanilla-y, but it's, I don't know, it smells very warm to me. Like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe. I tell you, the color is quite delicate. It's green, but it's just barely. Tabaru, hello. I think I'm going to put in just a tiny bit more. Just a tiny bit more. Whisk that in. But the sweetness level is good. What are we making with it? I'm making a milk jelly with this. There's already agar-agar powder in there, a little dash of vanilla, and sugar. And I've got a ramekin in the freezer with a little bit of plum syrup in it. And my plan is to get that frozen and then pour this on top of it. And unfortunately, we will not be able to taste test this one today. It's going to have to wait for Thursday. Also, hello. Welcome in. Glad to meet you. Thanks for the follow. Much of what we're doing is not going to be seen in its fruition today. Now, agar also needs, as I mentioned, to be cooked in order to set. I can't just put this in there and expect it to set. So we need to get this to the level where it bubbles. It needs to come to the boiling temperature. We don't really want to boil it vigorously because there's milk in there and the milk will start to froth over very easily. And also, from my own experience, the agar-agar will start to set against the sides of the pot if you boil it too hard, and you'll get this skin forming inside the pot. So ideally, you want to get it just to the point where it starts to bubble, and then get it out of there. And then we're going to let it cool off a little bit, because it's not going to set right away, and I don't want to pour it boiling hot on top of my, hopefully by then, frozen jelly layer. And then it has to sit in the fridge for an hour to set up, at least. There's going to be a pretty substantial amount of it, so likely longer, but that'll be fine. I'll just put a little thing over the top of it. The hope is that when I serve it, it will look like a flan, but green on the bottom with purple jelly on the top that'll run down the sides. That's the hope. I think that would be quite a lovely little thing, a green and purple dessert. But the other things we've got, turkey stock in the corner back here simmering away because I need some turkey stock, so we're making our own. And cornbread, which I'm going to have some of for dinner. It's cool enough to touch. I could probably take it out of that pan. I'm going to have some of that tonight for dinner. We're going to make a quick something to go with it. Otherwise, I'm going to be making cornbread dressing, so I wanted some cornbread for the day of. I'm not actually making the dressing in advance. Because that's going to be that, celery, onion, sage, thyme, chicken stock, black pepper. What else goes into a dressing? I guess I can't remember the last time I made a dressing from scratch. Can't spell Thanksgiving, but that's fine. The internet knew what I meant. Southern Living does not have a recipe. All recipes. Yeah. Bread, onion, celery, spices, eggs, butter, chicken stock. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I'm not that dumb. I'm not that dumb. I know what that stuff's like. Throw a couple raisins in there. Throw some, I don't know, somethings. Anyways, we're keeping an eye on this. All of the bubbles have popped. That's a good sign that it's heating up. It's pushed out those existing foam, those existing froth bubbles from the stirring. We want to stir it gently rather than whisk it vigorously at this point. All the stuff in there should be dissolved. But we want to make sure that it heats evenly and that stuff doesn't start to adhere to the bottom, because that will be a problem. pretty much as soon as it starts to actively bubble, we're taking it off the heat. I like, for when I'm doing it in milk, it's a little bit fussy because I'm afraid of overcooking the milk. But if you're setting something that's not milk in agar agar, boy, is it way less fussy than gelatin because you can just boil the crap out of it. You can literally take it to a rolling boil, which if you did to gelatin would ruin the gelatin. It would denature the gelatin and you would lose your set. You can just take this stuff to a rolling boil, cool it back down, and it'll set. it's neat. It's neat. And yeah, I've got the pandan extract. We hardly ever use it. I like the flavor. So, a whole bunch of people have shown up since I last asked. How's it going? What's for dinner or breakfast, depending on your or lunch, depending on your time zone. We've had a few people from Asia show up recently, and I know they're on. I think I'm on their breakfast time in East Asia. Oop, stuff is happening to my mix. Little spots are forming. So we're just going to tend it. We're not going to do anything else right now. We're not going to get distracted. We're just going to do this. Until we've got bubbles. And then I'm going around scraping down the side because it clings a little bit, and then the this part that clings to the side wants. Ooh, we definitely have a little bit of a set gel forming. I could probably take it off the heat, but I'm going to wait for the bubbles to start showing up. Thai basil chicken for dinner. That sounds lovely. That sounds wonderful. I do have a few bubbles in there. And Trip. Trip. How's it going? Welcome in. We're doing something a little delicate right now. I am making a pandan milk jelly. And because of the milk, I'm afraid of bringing this to too vigorous a boil, but I want it to bubble a little bit to ensure that we have actually gotten up to the boiling temperature. So I'm being a little bit on the delicate side with it. Oop. And it is actively bubbling, so heat off. It was just barely starting to take a little bit of a bubble there. So heat off. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit before I try to put it into the ramekin. But obviously not cool off so much that it runs the risk of setting in the pot here. That would be annoying. So that stuff. Again, if you're not using milk, go ahead and take your agar mixture to a full rolling boil. because the boiling point, that's when you know that the stuff has activated and will set. And if you don't have a milk-based liquid that is at risk of going, if you've ever boiled over milk, it boils over faster than you'd believe. Pop the bubble. If you're not at risk of a boil over from a froth like that, go ahead and boil it. And then you will get a nice set out of whatever your thing is. Like I said, I want that to cool off a little bit so it's not quite that hot. And also I want to give my jelly a little bit more time to firm up. I should have thought of that in advance. That's going to be the slowest part. Freezing that little bit of little skin of jelly is going to be the slowest bit here. So I might even just do that as late as I possibly can. How's it going, Trip? Those of you unaware, Triple Bud also streams. I don't think I've ever seen you cook, but I can't say you've never cooked. Most of my viewers are interested in cooking. And unceremoniously, that's how you take a cornbread out of a cast iron pan. You just literally flip it over and it comes right out. We gotta eat some cornbread. We gotta eat some cornbread today. Okay, that's cooling. That's still simmering. You can't cook to save your life. Anyone can cook. Just takes a little bit of practice. You just have to be willing to admit that there's going to be some failures along the way. You don't think I started out doing all this stuff first try. For my dinner tonight, we have found literally the same thing I had last time. Discounted thing of shrimp. I thought that would go well with some cornbread. So that's going to be what I make for my actual dinner tonight. I can probably use the cast iron we just baked the bread in, so I don't have to dirty another pan. These are, I assume these are just like Vietnamese farmed shrimp. It just says shrimp on the package. It doesn't give me a point of origin. I don't know how they get these shrimp so cheap. The regular price for the package this size is $5. They're pre-cooked. They come with these flavor seasoning powders on them already. They only have 3 flavors. One of them is bay seasoning, one of them is Cajun seasoning, and one of them is, or no, they have 4 because they also have a lemon pepper one, and then they have this one, which is just supposedly just garlic butter, but clearly there's a lot of black pepper on these. And I've asked about what's in the seasoning mix, and the people at the store cannot tell me. But this is the most economical way I have encountered to get shrimp. Again, I bet you it is that one just broke off. The cheapest farmed shrimp they can get a hold of, and the cheapest stuff comes from Indonesia, Vietnam. Where else have I seen it come from? Philippines, I think. It's the kind of shrimp that was implicated in having radioactive particles mixed into it a couple months ago. You know, that's how you get the spicy shrimp. Just a little sprinkle of cesium. But it's approximately half a pound of cooked shrimp, and on discount it's $3.50. That's it's hard to ask for more. Corn pone. I don't rightly know what that is. $34.35 head-on shrimp was $8 a pound. Head off was $9 a pound at your local Asian market. Those shrimp heads are valuable, though. The shrimp heads are how you make the really good stock. I keep my little shell tails. I never see head-on stuff. Even the stuff that still has the shells, it only ever has the tail shells. The heads are how you make the real good stock. Damn. $34.35 isn't like thrilling. Those are fairly small shrimps, but they're not the tiny, like 7,500 shrimps. Those little itty bitty things that you can't hardly work with. Little cornbreads the size of a muffin. Like Johnny cakes? We made Johnny cakes once. Also, Flamingo, you are the same color as Trip on my screen, so you blended right in. I didn't see you there. Hi, Flamingo. Oh, and the same color as right here. Everyone's purple. Everyone was pink at the beginning. Now everyone's purple. Okay, our pandan mixture is starting to look like it wants to set. Oh, it is 100% trying to set. So we should get it into the container that it is going to be in when it does. So hopefully the jelly has enough structural integrity to withstand this. We're doing this part real quick. Purple gang. Hello, beware my brain. Hello, purple gang. What are you doing here? Let's see. This probably has not been in here long enough. Yeah, there's no way that's gonna work. I'm gonna go ahead and push that aside. I'm gonna go ahead and push that aside, get a fresh one, and not ruin my idea. That's what we're gonna do. I'll just pour some jelly on at the end. That's way more safe than what I was trying to do here. I will just pour some of my jelly on at the end, rather than try for a being too clever. Being too clever has been my downfall many a time. You've all seen it. Let's see if we can knock the bubbles out of this. Nope, we're going to use the poker. We're going to use the cornbread poker from before and pop bubbles.
because I don't think they look nice, and they do set in the stuff. The bubbles won't pop on their own. They'll just harden, harden in place. But while they're liquidy, you can pop them. Pop, 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 pop. I think my agar agar might be a little bit old as well. Pop, 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 pop. Nope, they're already starting to. They're already developing some integrity from having cooled off a little bit with the mix in there. Love that light mint color. Pandan does. That's why they put the green in there. It gives you this really lovely. You're busy making cheesecake. What is this? This is a pandan flavored milk jelly that I was going to try to pour on top of a layer of my homemade plum jam, but it is gooey enough that I was trying to freeze it up beforehand, and it didn't set fast enough. And this was starting to set, so I just put this in its own thing, and we're going to pour some jelly on later. Because we decided we would make it a dessert. This is going to be a Thanksgiving dessert, so we will not see this served today. We will see this served in a few days. Jellies like this can be set in advance. I am going to give us a little plastic wrap topper for it so that we don't have it go ugly on me. Because cooked milk will want to form a skin, and I want to make sure to keep air out of this guy. So we're putting plastic wrap right down to the surface of the stuff. And then squinching in the sides. And then that goes in the fridge, and we will see that in a couple of days. I think the green is going to look very nice with the purple syrup on top. Assuming we can get the thing out in one piece. Once it's set, they're pretty firm, and it should come out in one piece. Otherwise, what we've got is cornbread. Because I'm going to make cornbread dressing for Thanksgiving. So I wanted to have some, I actually wanted some stale cornbread. So I made cornbread today so that it can be stale in a couple of days. And we're making homemade turkey stock over here on the stove in the corner. Here. Which has just been boiling away now for a while. And then I'm going to make my own dinner for tonight using these shrimps. Stick your hands in the bowl to mix the meatloaf just. How much Thanksgiving prep is today, and how much is later? Well, I am doing Thanksgiving. I'm doing Thanksgiving for one this year. I'm not intending a gathering of any kind. So most of the things won't be massively difficult, and I don't have to also wrangle people. So we're doing three things. We're doing the dessert. We're doing the cornbread, but not actually making it into the dressing. And we're making the stock because I'm going to need the stock on the day of for a couple things. Our centerpiece this year is going to be a whole bird. A whole bird for one. I found a Cornish hen for $4. It's still a little bit frozen, but not massively frozen. It's not quite ready to take out of the package yet. Otherwise, that's also would be what I would prep today. Is I would take that out, see what it looks like, clean it up, salt it, and we're gonna let it sit there. I'm gonna dry brine it. I'm not gonna wet brine it. I'm gonna dry brine it, which means I'm gonna salt it, and we're gonna roast it. It's gonna be a whole roast bird, but it's gonna be a little centerpiece thing on one of these large plates, and then I'm gonna surround it with all the various fixins, and I'll have a Thanksgiving plate. That is just the whole plate is a Thanksgiving for one. That's the plan. That's the plan. Stan. Anyways, I'm going to make dinner for myself tonight. And to that end, ooh, that one doesn't look very good, but that one does. Ooh. To that end, we're going to start cooking. We're going to cook the old-fashioned way, the way I usually cook, with very little prep. Whoa, that one had a lot of little pepper babies in it. Another advantage of having such a small bird is it only takes not quite an hour to roast, unlike, say, your big turkey that takes all day. I was looking at the prices of turkeys too. I've done turkey before. I think I did something with turkey last year. The price for just a turkey breast, just one turkey breast, on the bone as a roast, was like $15. Like, they're not small, but that's a lot. And I don't need that much for just me. And at that price, I'll just pay a couple bucks more and I could get a whole duck. For just a couple bucks more, I could get a whole duck. Or I could get a similarly sized whole chicken for about half that. And that was my initial thought, was either go up in quality to a duck or go down in price to a chicken. And then one of you on Discord, it might have been Jay. I can check. My Discord's open. It was Flamingo. It was Flamingo, actually. Jay seconded it, but it was Flamingo who suggested a Cornish hen. And I went and looked for them, and you know what? They're very affordable. They're more economical per pound than turkey. Jay brought up, pheasant or quail or grouse. I know where I could get pheasant. It's pretty far away, and it's expensive. And it's also not a whole pheasant. It was just pheasant breast. Other than that, I don't know where to find pheasant, other than shooting one myself. Because they do just kind of wander around in the fields. But yeah, I've never done a Cornish hen. They're not actually a game bird. I've done the research. They are called Cornish game hen because they are a hybrid of. One of the things that they are a hybrid of was itself a game bird, but it was a bred game chicken that was then released in some part of England, possibly Cornwall, for hunting, which is like, okay, I guess it's like when you release the fox and then go shoot the fox. But they were crossed with a New England breed of chicken, and that is why they're called Cornish. It was meant to be a callback to them being like some sort of old world luxury thing. But they're from the crossbreed is from Massachusetts, I believe. Oops, not main kitchen. Stove. Let's throw in some butter. Heat on, melt the butter. I think so. I think I have a plate big enough to get everything on there with all the bits around it decoratively, so that I can have like one plate that is the whole Thanksgiving. But I've never done a whole roast, so that's going to be an experiment, which is kind of my thing. I do the experiments around here, so. So I suppose it's a appropriate to be doing an experiment, a new thing for me for Thanksgiving. I need an onion. Thankfully, I bought more onions because that previous onion was the last onion from the last batch of onions. Melt out that butter. We're going to saute bell pepper, onions, celery. Yeah, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to do celery, but I'm not going to bother really sweating them down. Got to wash the celery. This is that same weirdly dirty celery. But anyways, if you are looking to hang out for Thanksgiving Day, that's this Thursday, I will be here. It is not a usual stream time. I'm doing a special occasion. Stream. Okay. Butter is bubbly in the pan. Pan is nice and hot. In goes our bell pepper. Trim up our celery. This is a pretty thick rib, so I'm going to split it down the length. Sleepy Husky. Hello, hello. Bork, bork, bork. Welcome, welcome, Raiders. Sleepy themselves. Snowy Catto, Witch Fox. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. You've caught me just as I'm transitioning out of my Thanksgiving prep and into just making my dinner for tonight. How's it going? What were you up to? Right in my kitchen. What were you up to? Tell us all about it. We're sauteing off some bell pepper and some celery, and I need to get the onion added in there real quick, so I'm going to do that as well. We're playing Tales of the Shire. I've seen that one. I saw it when it first came out, and I got the impression from it that it could be like the next Animal Crossing Stardew Valley level thing. It looked like that kind of a cozy game, and because it was also Lord of the Rings, I felt like it had a lot of potential. At that point, people were still kind of like working out what all to do because it had just come out. We're going to push these guys around. Well, I hope you've been having a good time with it. I have been doing some prep for the upcoming Thanksgiving, which is, of course, this Thursday. We're still have our pot of turkey stock in the back corner there bubbling away. But the cornbread is done, and the dessert, which we ended up settling on pandan... a pandan milk jelly is going to be my dessert, which is certainly a choice. That is in the fridge setting up. Which means I've moved on to making my own dinner for tonight. I don't often saute in cast iron, but I was already ready to go because I made the cornbread in it, so I figured rather than dirty another pan, I would just use this one. And nothing I'm putting in here I expect to be very sticky. My seasoning game is not the best, I'm not gonna lie. It's often a little bit on the spotty side. I'm not confident in cooking an egg in my cast iron, for example. I know it'll stick. But even my nice smooth one. You guys can't see them because they're all hung in a place where the camera cannot see them at all, but I've got, in addition to the pan, you can see 5 more, all different sizes, hanging around the top of the stove. But anyways, this is just bell pepper, onion, celery. We're going to saute it down. We're going to add some flavors. We're going to throw some shrimp in. And then I think I'm going to serve that with a slice of the cornbread I just made. I fry bacon in it. Yeah. Yeah. It does smell lovely. I'm getting a little bit of conflicting smells because I've also got the turkey stock smell back there. Do I want to add, speaking of stock, do I want to add any liquid to this? Make it more of a soupy thing? Then I can like mop it up with a chunk of cornbread? I think about what flavors I'm going to throw at this. This part is just off the cuff, unplanned. This is how I normally cook. It's just like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to go with a little bit of garlic instead of fresh garlic today. We're going to go with some dried oregano. There's already pepper on the shrimp. I know what I'll do. I'll use some of this stuff. I'll use some of my shrimp powder and a little bit of water. This stuff. Oop. Yeah, this is the one that keeps wanting to harden up too, so I really should use this one. Weirdly, the shrimp one is the only one that wants to do that, and I probably won't save shrimp powder in the future. It's literally the little powder packets from instant ramen noodles. Because most of the time when I use instant ramen noodles, I don't use the flavor packets. I just make blank noodles and put my own stuff on top of them. But they really are just like little stock concentrates. They're not, the flavors aren't great, but man, are they just kind of these little umami bombs. And you saw that one. The shrimp one keeps wanting to harden up. The beef one is all nice and powdery. The beef one's the best one. The beef one's the best one. It's got the most depth of flavor. The chicken one is the most boring one. The chicken one also is nice and powdery. I don't know why the shrimp one specifically likes to clump up, but it does. But also the shrimp one is probably the least useful one overall. It's not a very good seafood stock. So it's not good for stuff that you just want to like have a seafood stock. It's only good for things where you specifically want that shrimpy flavor to come through. Some of those veggies got a little bit toasty on the edges, which I suppose is fine. Yeah, not the funky levels like shrimp paste. It falls into this really strange category, and I think the shrimp one is just, because of that, just kind of the least useful one overall. It's not bad, and the fact that it also clumps up like that is strange and makes it kind of harder to use. In this case, I'm putting it in with real shrimp. I'm just kind of amping the shrimp flavor.
But the chicken and beef ones, they're very similar to just like a very basic chicken stock cube or a very basic beef stock cube, which means you can use them in very similar places where you just want to add a jolt of that sort of umami boosting flavor. They put MSG in them too, which is another booster, flavor booster. And because they're powders, you can also add them in very controlled amounts instead of a cube. And they're designed to dissolve instantly because you're supposed to make the instant ramen noodle soups out of them, which also means that they mix into things way easier than a stock cube. They're just like really convenient. Anyways, that's my spiel on why I save those things. I used to just save the packets, and then I started putting them in those little jars instead because the packets were taking up a lot of room. Because it turns out I use way less of the stuff than I do of the noodles. It's probably good. The juice of those soups is extremely oversalted. Weirdly oversalted and bland because it's pretty much just the stock concentrate with nothing else going on. That is a little bit of Laogan Ma. I've added a little bit of Laogan Ma, as well as my oregano and garlic. And everything looks kind of good. So let's dump those shrimps in there. They're already pre-cooked, so we don't need to cook them too hard. We just need to make sure that they heat through so that they're nice and toasty, nice and tasty. And I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch so that my juice thickens up. Again, this is just a quick, dirty thing with enough of a leftover that I can also take some to work tomorrow. Because I work tomorrow as well. The curse of retail. You end up working the week of Thanksgiving pretty much unavoidably. Yes, MSG, so good. I agree. I think it is unfairly vilified. I think it is delicious. I don't think it's cheating. And I think a lot of people eat way more of it than they realize. Without realizing it. Like, you eat it without knowing it. If you only react to something when you know that you've eaten it, if it's a secret, yeah, it's in a lot of stuff. It also occurs naturally in a lot of foods, so it doesn't have to be listed as an additive. It's in there because it's in the thing. If you've ever eaten tomatoes, anything with tomatoes and salt, you've eaten MSG. The sodium from the salt and the glutamate from the tomato make sodium glutamate. That's just how science works. Yes, we've also talked about the specific cultural reasons why it got a bad reputation, but the bad reputation still persists. Anyways, I like MSG. I think it's really good. I think if you add too much of it, if you've ever eaten it by itself, if you've never had a chance to eat it by itself,
Try MSG by itself. It is weird. It tastes like flavor. It doesn't taste like anything specific. It just kind of like tastes like flavor. Anyways, cornstarch in this to thicken up that juice. Because you're not really supposed to boil stuff in cast iron long term. If your seasoning is good, then it doesn't matter for short boil. But this one smells a little metallic-y. And then we're going to put that in a serving jar. By which I mean a Pyrex. I'm going to eat only part of it today. Yeah, what I need to do with all of my cast irons is just use them as saute pans more often, because that will help build up and harden on a nice seasoning. Just using them as saute pans instead of always holding on to them for special things. Just general use them. Because that's actually the best way to season them, and that's why it's called seasoning, because it's literally, you've been using it for a number of seasons. I also ran out of grapeseed, which was my go-to oil. You can use any oil. Probably not butter, because of all the other stuff that's in the butter besides fat. But everything slides off of it. So nice. Don't look at the back. The back's got a little spot on it right now. The back's got a little spot on it right now, and I know it's there. I'm aware. I saw it when I took it down off the hook. It's hideous. It's got a little spot on it right there. Oh, I need to touch up that little back spot. Oh, I know. Why the full boil? Because it's not actually at a full boil. If we slide back over, it is boiling more vigorously than just a light simmer, but it's not rolling boil. It's just kind of a vigorous bubble. In part, that's because of the lid. In part, that's because even though I've got it turned down to a 4, that's the level it was bubbling at. If I take the lid off, it naturally slows down. It's the lid trapping additional heat. Let's give the... That's been going pretty much since we started, so let's give that a taste. It's unsalted, so probably not going to taste like a ton. It's pretty good, actually. Considering it is an unsalted meat tea. Meat tea. but it's pretty good. It's pretty. I think we're pretty good at that right now. Ouch! Ouch! That was a little bit warm just then. You like the phrase meat tea? I hate to break it to you. I think that's what all stocks are. This guy, he's been boiling since the beginning. The liquid has gone cloudy. We don't actually have any scum to speak of. Yes, mushroom and vegetable are obviously not meat tea. I don't see any scum to speak of, really. Everything has turned color. Everything should be... Celery still has a firmness to it. The onion is mush. The carrot is... The onion is just disintegrating. The carrot is pretty well mush as well. I'm going to fish out those boiled to death vegetables right into the compost bin. Once upon a time, I did see if any of the vegetables were usable post stock making, and boy, did they go flavorless. Boy, do they just go flavorless on you. Which is good. It means all the flavor's in the liquid, but it really means those things are just kind of useless. We didn't get the chunks chopped up quite as much as I had hoped. Last time I did this, I did it in the pressure cooker. Probably could have done it in the pressure cooker this time. Oh yeah, the onion is just falling apart. But it looks good. It's nice and cloudy. We kept everything intact, so there's just sort of big chunks. That are pretty easy to fish out. So I don't think I'm going to bother running it through a strainer unless I shred any of these onion pieces with the tongs here. Maybe we should do a quick pass through a strainer. Pressure cooker French onion soup for Thanksgiving. I think I got enough things planned. I think I got enough stuff planned. Good thought, but how much do you think we got there? Oh, the bay leaves. I'm definitely straining it. I forgot about the bay leaves. They sank to the bottom. Probably 2 jars worth. we'll just use the plastic lids since I'm just going to use this stuff in a couple of days anyways. Doesn't need to be proper sealed. We're not pressure canning this. We're just closing it in. So yeah, I'm going to run it in I wish I had a better gauge of how much is in there. By eyeball, which I don't. Not by eyeball. I'm gonna go with the large pitcher. You guys can't see this part because it's gonna happen in the sink. Oh, it was almost clear. 1 bay leaf and 2 little fragments of onion escaped, and just like the tiniest amount of surface scum. And from my initial 5 cups of water, I am down to 2.5 of stock. There it is. My large. Our large. Yeah, that's next time. That's for Christmas. The Jovial Hadron Collider. Yeah. Not enough for 2 jars, but too much for 1 jar, so 2 slightly underfilled jars it is. It's still quite hot, but we'll see if it has any gelling power at all. But those guys are just getting ready for the future, so they can go in the fridge. So let's just take pictures of some of these things. My milk jelly is already gelled. It's not fully set, but it's more of a jiggle than a flow. I'm hoping the neck, because the neck has got a lot of connective bits. I'm hoping the neck has imparted quite a bit of thickening. But that's how fast agar-agar sets. We could actually do agar-agar desserts within the amount of time that I do normal streams. Which gelatin set ones take a lot longer. They're not quite as quick as when, as like whipping up a quick batch of cookies for a dessert, but they're still pretty quick. Anyways, those are the things. The turkey stock, the dessert is setting. That'll be ready by the end of tonight. So it'll be ready well in advance of Thanksgiving. The cornbread, which has an upcoming purpose in Thanksgiving, we're also going to eat some of it now. So that's going to be the next thing I cut. Cut some cornbread. Not with the serrated knife, with the standard knife and a plate. And we're going to serve some of that stuff. and that's going to be my dinner. I had a little bit of a late lunch, so I'm not planning a massive dinner tonight. Grab myself a plate. I had a late lunch because I had a nothing for breakfast, which had left me very hungry, and then it was not a good food day for me up until this point. Now it's a great food day. I'm always hesitant to eat a big lunch on stream days because I don't want to be not hungry. And it leads me to put off eating sometimes. Be like, I won't eat anything, and then, well, not like nothing, but I like in the afternoon if I'm a little bit hungry, I won't eat something. I'll just wait instead. And then sometimes that catches up to me where I become too hungry to not eat. And then I end up eating a late lunch, which impacts. What I should just do is consistently eat an early lunch on stream days. That would be all I need to fix this. But I'm terrible. That's getting moved because I'm going to serve this a little bit differently than I initially thought. We're going to push the cornbread into the side there. And we're going to top it with just a little bit of cheese. Just a little bit of cheese. Okay. Dinner is served. It's shrimp stuff with a slice of cornbread. Shrimp stuff with a slice of cornbread. There you go. Cornbread to sop up the shrimpy juices. Tell you what, for decorative purposes, I'm gonna go grab a little bit of chives. We're gonna give it just a smidge of chive for some fresh green. One chive. I cannot do the chef cut of chives, especially one, but those little itty bitty fine perfect circles. I almost always do chives with a scissors. There. A little bit of chive to set it off. Let me go take our photo. I will come back. I will do my taste test. Suppose I should link the Suppose I should link the Discord. We have new faces who won't know where to find our photos. Okay, this guy. Let's find that Discord link. I know, everyone's in a million Discords and no room for more. Well, I don't know what we call this. It's food. We take some of our cornbread. We take some of our stuff. It's really good. Damn, it's really good. It's maybe a little bit oversalted. Probably shouldn't have added the salt and the flavor powder. I think that oversalted it a bit. It's spicy. It's spicy. It's savory. It's buttery. It's very buttery. It goes really well with the cornbread. Let's try the cornbread by itself. It's not a sweet cornbread, for sure. Corn flavor, very tender. Tender, crumbly. It has definitely cooled off a little bit. It also tastes very buttery. There's no butter in the cornbread. There's gotta be the corn oil that gives it that kind of, it leaves you a little bit of a sort of a buttery, oily texture in your mouth. Not like a greasy coating, just like a little kiss of it, a little kiss of it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I would consider making that with melted butter in place of that oil, but it's pretty good. The shrimp stuff isn't anything specific. It's a little bit Cajun. It's a little bit Chinese. It's kind of those things. And then it's a little bit cheese. And the cheese I used is a pre-shredded Asiago. So it's an aged, nutty Italian cheese. This stuff's a little bit of a, it's like 5 different savory things smushed together, which is fine. It makes it very savory. It's good. I'll probably serve myself just a little bit more of it, and then I'll save the rest of this for my lunch tomorrow with that other big slice of cornbread there. But yeah. And we made good progress. The stock, I didn't want to have to make the stock on the day of, and I didn't want to buy a pre-made stock because I want to make a nice gravy. That's the secret. That's what we're doing with the stock. We're making a nice gravy. I'm not going to make the gravy now. I'm going to make the gravy on the day of. But the dessert was a great idea. I'm glad we kind of narrowed in on that. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see if I can get it out of there clean once it's fully, properly set.
And I guess I'm going to be nibbling on cornbread because I don't think I'm going to need this whole thing. We're going to be making a small portion of dressing, so I'm going to use my small baking dish, which is only about this big, which at most I think is going to be like a quarter of that guy. So I'm going to have a lot of cornbread to work with. That's good. I got to make cornbread more often. Cornbread's so good. You guys, make cornbread more often. It's real good. It was also really easy. Let's see who's on today, since we're wrapping up. I don't typically eat with you guys. If you're new here, I don't typically eat with you guys. I do a tasting notes, and then we raid out. For Thanksgiving, I think we're going to do a full me sit here and eat and talk. I'm gonna figure out how to hook up some music, so it's not deadly silent all the time. Let's see. Oh, Trip is on. That'll be why he stopped talking in chat. LaFay is on. Herdling Cats. Room and Board is on, and we could go there again. We go there a lot these days. What do you guys think? Where should we go? There's right here with the raid messages. Little Dancing Dinos if you are not subbed. Little Smiling Jupiters if you are subbed. We could go say hi to Trip. Let's see what people are doing instead of just looking at thumbnails. It's having a hard time loading that one. It's having a hard time loading that one. It looks like Chef is done and boxing stuff up. So maybe somewhere else today. You know, we haven't seen LaFay in a while. I'm gonna go say hi to LaFay. We love LaFay around here. You guys look inside of my head. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for everything. Thanks to Husky for the raid. Thanks to all the followers. We had a whole mess of followers. Thanks to the gift sub at the beginning. Mish caught Bob in a gift sub at the beginning. And Jay, you subbed right at the start. Oh, I lost my feed. Yeah. So normally I say I'll see you next week, and then make nebulous overtures about maybe streaming some other time. This time, unless something comes up, I'm streaming Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, this week, where we're making that little bird and all the sides we discussed, and we're using the things we prepped today. So, if you're not doing anything else for Thanksgiving, if you are doing something else for Thanksgiving, spending time with your family, for example, please prioritize that over me. But if you're not, if you're sitting alone, by yourself, bored, come say hi. Come hang out. We'll chat. We'll have times. I lost my thing. Oh, I read it out already.